Welcome. We're joined by Harout Ekmanian, an international lawyer and attorney based in New York. Harout, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Emilio.
So we know that Turkey has been transporting Syrian Islamist mercenaries from Syria, from the Hamza and Sultan Murad brigades to Azerbaijan. How does this move relate to international law? And furthermore, what is the difference between these groups and private contractors which have been used by the United States in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan?
Thank you, Emilio, for having me. And I need to stress that I'm speaking my own views, not those of my employer or any of my clients. So to start with your question, the first and the most important thing that distinguishes these mercenaries from other private military contractors is that these Syrian mercenaries come with a resume of war crimes and crimes against humanity. According to the latest report by the United Nations Human Rights Council of the Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the Syrian Arab Republic, published in August, these groups are accused of pillage, rape, ethnic cleansing, and other crimes under international law, and their members have fought under the banners of ISIS, Al-Qaeda affiliated Nusra, and other terrorist groups interchangeably. So, and moreover, these terrorists, these mercenaries have documented themselves during their posted videos, through their posted videos during their involvement in the war crimes and violations of international humanitarian law in Artsakh. So I think this aspect is even more important in terms of international legal action against them.
And how?
And this is what probably distinguishes them from any like translator or logistical military contractor or even combat fighters who are hired by armies. So this is the major factor that brings them distinguishes them from the internationally used other contractors.
And how can Armenia bring these mercenaries to justice? Does Armenia have any jurisdiction over these individuals? And furthermore, can they be transferred to Yerevan, for example, to go under trial, or to any other country to face trial?
The short answer to that question is yes, but it needs an explanation why. These mercenaries do not belong to any national army, and so in any legal action, they cannot benefit from the legal defense of following commands, leadership commands, etc. So any state can put them on trial for participating in these grave international crimes. Especially if the legislation of these states have the principle of universal jurisdiction that entitles the state to bring these perpetrators of international crimes to justice in its courts, even if they are not its citizens, or even if the victims are not its citizens, or even if the crimes are not committed on its soil. So when we speak about Armenia specifically, Armenia not only has the universal jurisdiction, the principle of the universal jurisdiction in its criminal legislations, but it also has personal jurisdiction over them, even without resorting to invoking universal jurisdiction, because these crimes are committed against its citizens and arguably mostly on its soil. And so it definitely has jurisdiction to try these mercenaries in its courts and even chase them down and have them extradited to Armenia from any country that is under obligation to extradite criminals under its international treaties, which would include most European countries as well. And this is also happening. Actually, this is not theory. This is happening today. Many of the Syrian Free Syrian Army, or some of them belonging to these brigades, battalions, or whatever they call themselves, they are being tried in Germany, in Sweden, in France, in Spain, in many other places for the crimes they have committed in Syrian territories. So this is not legal fiction. This is actually things that are happening today, and these cases are going on. Also, countries that have anti-terrorism or international terrorism-related laws may also prosecute them, and they can be extradited to be tried in such jurisdictions.
Well, can the integrity of the Armenian judicial system be trusted to carry out a judicial process with regards to these Syrian mercenaries? We do know, for example, that Armenia has had issues with its judicial system in the past. So what do you think about this?
That's true. Armenia has had problems of its own judiciary in the past, as you mentioned, but which system, which state doesn't have those problems? We talk about the criminal justice reform in the United States every day, for example. Armenia has been implementing extensive reforms since 2018, and even before that, strengthening rule of law and transparency. Plus, Armenia is a democratic country enjoying all the features of a modern civilized governance, legislature, and judiciary. Meanwhile, we know very well how a dictatorship like Azerbaijan had a critical journalist extradited and imprisoned for a year, like Alexander Lapshin. This is just one example, apart from the local examples of human rights defenders and journalists being jailed within Azerbaijan, Azerbaijani journalists, and writers like Akram Aylisli and others. So in comparison, we can stay assured that these mercenaries slash terrorists, whatever one may call them, they will have their day in court if they are tried in Armenia and get fair trial and headed to justice.
The European Court of Human Rights did initiate interim measures regarding the use of mercenaries by Azerbaijan and Turkey. Is there any other mechanism under international law to bring legal action against Turkey and Azerbaijan for these actions?
Of course, there should be. So this is not a full list of actions that or avenues or options that I would present at the moment. But to start with, that it's important to say that this is an international armed conflict. It's not a non-international armed conflict. So laws of war and customary international law all applies, considering the multiple direct attacks on Armenia proper by Azerbaijan. So Armenia may bring a case against Turkey and Azerbaijan in the ICJ at The Hague. So in case of Turkey, it can bring a case under the International Convention for the suppression of the financing of terrorism, to which Turkey and Armenia are signatories, for harms it suffered by the involvement of Syrian mercenaries and they're committing acts of terror and war crimes against Armenian citizens, and therefore demand reparations. Same can be said for Azerbaijan for the Mercenaries Convention, under which Turkey and Armenia are not signatories, but Syria and Azerbaijan are signatories, and because the rules of the convention are already part of the customary international law, arguably, so there can be also another avenue to that option. These terrorists are recruited and facilitated and paid salaries and insurance by Turkey's state-controlled agencies and transferred to commit atrocities against Armenian citizens by Turkey via Turkish aircrafts commissioned by Azerbaijan. So it's clear the attribution to the states of Turkey and Azerbaijan in this case, and there would be a strong case for Armenia to go ahead and demand reparations in the international courts.
Do you think at this point in time that these mercenaries that are currently in Azerbaijan present a threat to the national security of countries like Russia, Iran, Georgia, and also Western countries, as well as possibly Azerbaijan as well? Do you think there will be real action in the future, perhaps, when this threat becomes even more significant?
Again, the short answer to that is yes, because we've seen what happened during the past decades. We've seen many of the similar Syrian fighters who were on the ground in Syria who committed atrocities there. They went on to continue doing similar actions in Europe and other places. So to start with, we need to emphasize that demanding the extradition and trial of these criminals and or initiating international legal action against Turkey and or Azerbaijan is very important to set the rules clearly one more time to be a better guarantee for the future for Armenia and for the world, for the neighborhood, and for Armenia's allies and trade partners, and for the entire globe, for multiple reasons. But most importantly, first, and most importantly, and most urgently, such steps by Armenia would have preventive effect on the continuation of the recruitment and use of these mercenaries. This is vital for chilling the enthusiasm of the Islamist jihadist mercenaries who are eager to fight for money and have them back off from such actions by the threat of being prosecuted in any corner of this globe by being chased down and having no safe haven anywhere. And this will of course result in saving more Armenian lives being targeted by these terrorists. So and the second important aspect is that it will be a lesson to Azerbaijan and Turkey ahead of possible future escalations with them. And finally, as I said, it will also protect everyone in the world, every country, and every peaceful citizen on this earth from the evil that can come from such whatever one may call them, mercenaries or terrorists or fighters or whatever they call themselves.
Well, Harout, thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much, Emilio.
And thank you for joining us on CivilNet.